In this video, we're going to check out the home screen and shortcuts built into your Pioneer EX in-dash receiver. Even though your particular in-dash receiver may have buttons on the side, or across the bottom like this one, the on-screen operation in this demonstration is identical for the following Pioneer EX models: AVH-500EX, AVH-501EX, AVH-600EX, AVH-601EX. So right now I'm on the AM/FM radio source, and I'm going to change to a different source. So I'm going to touch the drop-down menu here, and you can see that I have a number of different sources available, and they're in this specific order. But I like to use the radio a lot, so what I would like to do is get the radio up to the top of this list. And if I press this button here, you can see nothing happens because that button is grayed out. So I'll need to engage the parking brake. When I engage the parking brake, I can touch this button, and now each of the sources has kind of brackets around the edges. So now I can just take the radio and drag it right up to the top. And if I use USB, or maybe, let's see, I have Spotify here. I want to put Pandora right below that one. And I use Bluetooth audio as well, so we'll slide that up. Now we can scroll down the list here. Sometimes I like to switch the system off, switch the source off. So I'm going to move that one up near the top too. And let's see what we have now. So source off is at the top, radio, Spotify, Pandora, and you can put these in any order that you want. Let's take a moment now and check out the shortcut screen, because these in-dash receivers have a ton of different functions. And the ones that I use the most, I like to make them very easy to get to. So I'm going to touch the gears here, and you see that takes me directly to my favorites menu, or the star menu. Now I'm going to touch the speaker menu here, and I'm going to leave it on the speaker menu for right now, and I'm going to hit the X to close out. Now when I touch the gears, you're going to see we go right back to the favorites menu. So the things that I do the most, I want to put in my favorites menu, but nothing's registered here right now. So let's find a few things that we do a lot, and we'll put them into our favorites. I'm going to touch the gears, the toolbox here. And I like to use my camera settings all the time. I like to switch that on and off. So I'm going to light up that star beside camera settings. And let's see. I like to change the illumination on my receiver quite often. So I'm going to put a star beside illumination. And I'm going to change my subwoofer level, which is under speaker levels. We'll do that one as well. So now, when I touch the star, you can see I have those things registered directly in my favorites menu. Now I'm going to hit the X. Now from any source, if I want to adjust any of those things, I touch the gears, and they come right up in my favorites, and I have direct access to those things. We'll go back. Now, if I change my mind on what I see here, I don't want to have camera settings in my favorites menu anymore. That's easy to change. I can just press and hold for a moment here, and that will remove that from the favorites menu. Now, the other thing I could do is just go back into the original menu. Here's speaker level. We'll go back to the speaker here, and we'll scroll down to speaker level. If I take the star away, go back up to my favorites, you see I've removed it from the favorites list there as well. Let's take a look at the home screen on your Pioneer NEX head unit. To get to the home screen from any source or anywhere else, just press the home button here in the middle. That takes us out to the home screen, and this has some information to show us for right now. The first is we have the AM/FM radio selected as a source, and we have no phone connected right now, and we have our shortcuts for our AV sources right here. So I can get to my power off, my source off, the radio, Spotify, and Pandora, but maybe I want to change some of these things. So I'll open the AV window here, and this shows me my list of available sources. Now what I can do is, if I want to use USB on a regular basis, I can just touch this, and it'll beep, and I can drag it up in there, but it didn't beep. That means I have to engage the parking brake. So I've engaged the parking brake now, and if I want to put USB up in this list, I can just press and hold and drag it right up into that list. Now when I close my AV window here, you see I have USB shown on the screen. Now I have disengaged, I've switched off the parking brake, and if I want to adjust how this appears on the screen, all I have to do is press and hold on the AV button for a couple of seconds, but nothing's happening. That means I have to engage the parking brake. So put the parking brake back on. Now if I press and hold AV, now I can drag over here and I can change the shape of this thing. I can change the number of available sources. As you can see, now I have a smartphone connected to the system, and I have a number of different apps that are available here, and I also have my information on my AV screen. So the same thing applies here. I can engage the parking brake and then press and hold the AV button for a couple of seconds. That will make things adjustable for me, so I can drag this over if I want. Adjust my apps that are available from my phone, and I can adjust the sources that are available on my AV receiver. And when I'm done here, touch anywhere else on the screen, and then these apps now become active. So if I want to operate Waze, I can select Waze on the screen. If I want to go back to the home screen, touch the home button to take me back there. And if I touch the large Waze icon on the screen, that'll take me back to Waze. We'll go back to the home button, back to the home screen. If I want to select a different source, I can open the window there and select the source. So touching the hard key right here switches between the app that is operating and the AV source that's operating. Let's go back to my home screen. I'm going to touch my smartphone button, and I want to go back to Android Auto, because in this case I have an Android phone connected. So I was in app radio mode, and here are the apps that I'm working with. Let's see, we'll touch Android Auto. That'll take me directly out to Android Auto. So now if I touch the hard key here, I switch between the Pioneer AV source and Android Auto. And if I touch the home button, that takes me back out to the home screen, where you can see my active app is Android Auto. If I want to get back to the other apps, choose App Radio Mode, and select an app. So we're on the AM/FM radio source now, but we could be on any source. Let's go back now to the home screen. We'll touch the home button here. And I have a couple of different ways to do this. I can touch my AV window here, and I have two things that I want to check out. There's source off and there is power off, and these are two different things. Another way that I can do this is just from the drop-down menu. I can do the same thing. I can touch the drop-down menu here, and if we scroll down, I have power off and I have source off, and I moved those things around earlier. So let's touch source off first. Now, we were on the AM/FM radio source, but we switched that source off, so there is no music playing of any kind right now, but the radio is still active, and this is important if I have an external navigation system like Pioneer's AVH-U280 installed. The AVH-U280 is still active. It's giving me turn-by-turn instruction, and my amplifiers are still active, and you can see that the telephone is still active here if we should get a phone call. You can see that the radio is still active. The in-dash receiver is still active. When we receive a phone call, the phone acts as normal. Now let's go to the power off setting. Here we'll touch the drop-down menu again, and we'll choose power off. And the system will say, "Are you sure you want to shut the whole thing off?" Say yes. And the whole system powers down now, and this will shut off the external navigation system, the AVH-U280, any external amplifiers that you have connected, anything connected to the blue and white wire on the back of the in-dash receiver or the system remote control lead, anything connected to that will be shut down. However, the in-dash receiver is still active if you should receive a phone call. If a phone call comes in, you can see that the system will immediately power up and allow you to answer that call. And when you hang up the call, the system remains powered up with no source selected, and we can power off the system again by pressing and holding the home button to shut the system down.